You know who the biggest fall off in wrestling is?
Who?
Ryback doing TikTok battles on on
Bro, what is
on
with
live.
that? What is with that, dude? Ryback goes crazy on socials, dude. I
He's
don't
doing
understand
what
it.
now?
He's doing TikTok battles, and I think at one point I saw him doing some religious stuff. I also saw Elias doing religious stuff on
That
TikTok
makes
and
sense.
reading the Bible and shit. And I'm like, what,
Bro, is
sir?
that like a that's like the trend, like the downfall of wrestlers. It's
Yeah.
like they go from wrestlers to like just cameos
To
to
religion.
like TikTok battles and duos and shit. Oh my god, dude.
Dude,
Okay.
he legit came up in my For You on live, and he was doing that, and I was like, Ryback,
What is
Right.
with this
Weird.
man, dude?
go to TNA.
Weird.
This man was
TNA
this
will
close.
still take you.
This man was this close to being WWE champion at a time where there was Cena, Punk, Randy, Rey Mysterio, and he was that close to being the world champion. How crazy is that? Anyway,
Well,
Welcome to
was-
VWP Christmas edition. Some of us are in our Christmas gear, and one of us has a bow.
he is the present. He is
He's
the
the
moment.
present.
He is the gift.
I'm the Grinch. I'm with one of Santa's elves.
Ethan Page, if he was an elf.
Sure.
Yep.
And Yusuf,
And I'm Yusuf.
the president.
Yeah.
So normally on this show, I start rambling on and blah 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 blah, and I kind of explain the show in my own way because I think it's more fun than listening to how the show actually goes.
Sir.
So today, though, we're doing something a little different. It's the end of the year. This is where we kind of start putting together some lists and things, and we start acknowledging some of the things that have gone on in 2024. It's been a huge year for pro wrestling. And for once, you don't have to listen to me host because it's Tyler's gig. So I'm gonna let Tyler do it.
Hey, I've been super excited for this episode because my God, 2024 has been such an incredible year to be a wrestling fan. I started the beginning of this year hopeful and optimistic, knowing what's coming up in WrestleMania 40 and beyond. And I came out of it completely rejuvenated, and my passion for the sport has become even more invigorated than it ever has been, honestly. I've never been more proud to be in public and say I'm a fan of pro wrestling. And I think that's a huge step forward in terms of the mainstream culture and where we've come as pro wrestling fans. Because I think all three of us have experienced scenarios where we breach the subject of pro wrestling, but we kind of dance around the fact of we like it and enjoy it in our everyday life. And I think for me, at least, I am totally comfortable now to say, listen, I'm a big fan of pro wrestling. I've been a fan since I was a kid. Because now I'm comfortable with the product, knowing that if someone else turns it on, it's going to be good shit, and there's potential that they also get into it, and at the very least, turn it on and are like, okay, I understand why these guys are enjoying it. But yeah, end of the year awards, we used to call it the vacancies, but there may or may not be a rebrand in the future. Stay tuned for the rebrand. Stay tuned, perhaps, maybe. At the very least, WrestleMania season's coming, and we wanted to put together a little award show to wrap up this year as our last episode, because as a heads up, we are not going to be recording next week's episode. We're going to take a week off for the holidays, enjoy our time. I'm sure Emil will be relishing in his vacation.
We'll see y'all on Netflix.
We'll see y'all on Netflix, indeed. Maybe not us, but we'll be covering product on Netflix. And
Well, some of
USA.
us might make it to Netflix eventually.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right. Well, yeah, so we put together some categories, and we're gonna talk about each of our recipients of the year-end awards for Vacant Wrestling Podcast. Now, this year, as we've said, has been absolutely crazy in terms of memorable moments, memorable matches, memorable feuds. So, things that make us say, oh my god. Let's start with the OMG moment of 2024. I'll go first with this one. This is one of the few categories I actually have an AEW recipient. One spot in particular this year has stuck in my mind from AEW, and it's a good thing. I'm actually like, and at the end of the day, it was a positive, I think, because it really differentiated AEW from the rest. And that is the fact that it's a mainstream wrestling company that is not afraid to dive into some more extreme tendencies. So for my award, it goes to Hangman Adam Page and Swerve for the syringe through Swerve's cheek. Because my God, I watched that and I was like, holy fucking shit, that was like the moment of this year that I was like, ooh, like I would not want to take that through the cheek. Literally stabs the needle and you can see the needle sticking out of the other side of the man's cheek. Like, and was there anything in the syringe? Did he inject anything into Adam Page or into Swerve? You could you could make a case, but I'll leave that up to interpretation. But that is my award for OMG Moment of the Year. And honestly, it might not even be close unless maybe it's one of the spots in Punk McIntyre. What about you guys?
I'll say this. That's a great spot to pick because that feud has just been chock full of some of the most ridiculous and violent spots in wrestling in the last couple of years. The syringe spot, the cinder block spot from that same match. Even a previous match they had where Hangman, if I remember correctly, Hangman cuts Swerve open and then just starts drinking his blood. Like, great pick.
Call the Brood.
Call the Brood, exactly. Call the Brood. Where's their royalties at? For
Gimmick
my top
infringement.
For my OMG Moment of the Year, I decided to go a little bit of a different route. I didn't want to go necessarily into a route with a match, but there were definitely some great spots to pick from. Hangman Swerve's one of them. The Anarchy in the Arena match from this year. AEW's got a lot of them for sure. But I actually went the route of NXT. And my OMG Moment of the Year isn't a match. It belongs to say his name, and he appears. Joe Hendry's debut in NXT. Thank you. You gotta clap. I feel like it was a given at some point that he was going to at some point show up in WWE, but everyone was assuming that it would only be after he left TNA or wherever it might be. But the fact that while he is signed to TNA, the fact that he's showed up at NXT for the Battle Royal, that pop still gives me goosebumps occasionally when I look. What's the thing that Rock does where he just stares at his forearm? Yeah. That weirdo. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Dwayne. But the pop when the lights go out and the moment his theme hits, that crowd goes crazy. It's a small NXT crowd, but man, you can tell that everyone was ready for Joe Hendry to show up, and I think I gotta give it that as my OMG Moment of the Year.
So I'm also going to dip into the well a little bit, and I have a backup, but I am going to go to AEW first. I think I spoke very highly of this moment this year, and I thought this was a huge move, regardless of how it has kind of faltered and kind of gone kind of to shit. It's the MJF return. It's the MJF return at I want to say that was Double or Nothing. The Bet on Yourself promo. I and him revealing, of course, that he'd re-signed. I mean, it kind of made sense when he was there, but I mean the double down, quite literally putting ink to skin, not just ink to paper. With AEW, I think I praised very highly of the move, and I still think it was a good move for him. I don't think that his character can work in a WWE setting. There's just not enough to be mad about. There's not enough. I mean, even now we're going to Netflix. We don't know what the parameters are. We don't know really how they're going to move. We know there's going to be an F word, but at the end of the day, they're saying they're going to stay family friendly. So MJF in that environment just doesn't really work as well as AEW, which is known for pushing their boundaries and pushing their luck. So that for me was huge, and it's not just huge for the in ring. It's huge for the business as a whole that MJF stayed there. That's a flag bearer.
Good stuff, guys. I'm a fan of that. I like all your recipients so far. I would say maybe not to speak for all three of us, but some honorable mentions that came to mind real quick for me were the WrestleMania 40 press conference, where it was, The Rock, Roman kind of set up the tag match, set up, Roman or Cody going, "This is bullshit."
Oh, stop. Just stop talking about that, please.
Okay.
Thank you. There's other categories, guys.
There are. Just saying some honorable mentions there, but that's fair enough. All right, word. Let's jump over to in line with promos and speaking. Let's jump over to promo of the year.
Hold on. I'm still.
Go for it.
Because you already started talking about mine. So that was actually going to be that's my promo of the year.
Sorry for the spoiler.
Boy none. That's my promo of the year. That is what you dream of as a wrestler. That's what you dream of looking at now as a wrestling fan. That's cinema. There's multiple different versions of cinema. That's drama. It's comedy. It's ridiculousness. It's pro wrestling. It's a sitcom at times. Like anything with the bloodline kind of has all of those things moving into it. It's part Sopranos, part sitcom, part wrestling. Like and this was it. Like there was so much energy going into this press conference. They had never done something like this before, going into a WrestleMania. It was the same weekend as the Super Bowl. Cody is white hot. The Rock is white hot on starting to work on his flip. Roman is obviously very much at the tail end of his reign at this point, and you can tell. But he was going out with a bang. And the fact that they kept being able to hold us and hold our attention and swerve us when all of the things to it was awesome. From the your grandfathers would be ashamed of you. The this is bullshit, getting his little sitcom moment where he walks out like a guest star and everybody goes even to the pre-part with The Rock taking 10 minutes to just talk about a family tree, and really he spoke for maybe 3 minutes total, and the other 7 minutes was him playing the crowd like a fucking fiddle. Roman really didn't have to do anything. Seth was also there, by the way, in that promo. Let's not forget, Seth was there, and with some really great off mic one-liners talking about how Roman can't choose his challenger. That's not how it works. And then Roman, of course, retorted, "No, that is how it works." So the all around that's it. That's it.
Second, that was a great promo. I will say, it's something that we talk about, that a good promo is something that establishes something of a bigger picture, and that definitely established a much bigger picture for what we got at WrestleMania. My promo of the year is something that also established a bigger picture that ended up being I guess you could call it a 10-month feud, almost 11-month, but it is the Drew McIntyre "I prayed for this to happen" promo. One promo, the freak injury of Punk at the Rumble, but that Drew McIntyre promo set up maybe one of the best feuds of the year. And the fact that Punk, being injured, was still able to work off that, showing up every week in his cast, in his sling, cutting promos against Drew, all because of "I prayed for this to happen, Punk. I prayed for you to get hurt." Because then you fast forward to WrestleMania, and Punk goes, "You did pray for this to happen. You know what I'm going to pray for you to happen? You lose your title, and I'm going to make sure it happens." And then Drew loses the belt, and then it all goes afterwards. Everything from that moment, the "I prayed for this to happen" promo in January of this year, built up what might be one of the best feuds of the year, and ended up resulting in the finale of that feud being one of the matches of the year.
I'm right here, you little bitch.
Yep.
That was great. I love that. I thought you were going to say what I was going to pick, because it's very close in line with what you chose, Yusuf. I am picking, you may remember, there was a random episode of Raw in Chicago. And in Chicago, there was a promo between CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, and Seth Rollins. And it was literally just the three of them, literally just shooting the shit in the ring, just like cracking jokes at each other and like going clearly off script. Clearly they had like maybe 1 or 2 points, and Triple H was just like, "All right, go wild. I trust you. Go wild." And I think that in particular was the first moment in the modern WWE Triple H era where I truly felt there was creative freedom in promos. It wasn't the fully scripted, formulated, step-by-step Vince-isms and Vince promos that we're used to. And even with, obviously, CM Punk's always kind of been the one to kind of go off the path a little bit and come back to it, but there's always that element of coming back to the path. But for this, I don't think Triple H had any in-between points. He had a beginning point, he had an end point, and he said, "Have at it. Have fun." And you could tell that the three of them had fun. I refer to this promo as the Paragon of Virtue promo because they talk about Drew being named
Say
the
his
chosen
name.
one. Say his name. What Paragon of Virtue called you that? And
Who told you that?
And like, was it the most substantive story-wise? No, it wasn't. But it was just 20 minutes of just fun and 20 minutes of like, these guys really fucking hate each other. It was this promo where Seth's like, fuck you, CM Punk. Drew, I beat your ass multiple times. I don't care about you. Drew is like, fuck you, Seth. You've beaten me. I've beaten you. I'm good with you. We fought like 5 times. Punk, fuck you. Punk's like, fuck both of you. You both fucking suck. Like, it's so rare in WWE to have these multiple stories coming together for these segments, and for this promo to I don't want to say messy, because it wasn't messy, but in the cleanest way possible, intersect 2 different stories happening at the same time, both involving CM Punk, and seeing the other guys, Drew and Seth, who don't really care about each other, both go at Punk, but also go at each other because, they're gonna eventually have to fight for the world title at some point, or they're in contention for it. So it's cool. It was many layers of story in it. I loved it. And it was just on a random episode of Raw. Like, there wasn't hype around it. There wasn't any of it. It was just like, yeah, these 3 guys are going to come out tonight or 2 guys are going to come out tonight and have a chat, basically. And it became one of the best promos of the year.
It was Chicago, and it was 2 weeks out from Mania, so
correct.
It wasn't exactly random, but it wasn't.
Well, yeah, but they didn't say like, oh, these 3 guys are going to come out and have a promo. It was like, I'm pretty sure it was only one of them was supposed to be advertised for it, maybe 2, but I forget. But regardless, all 3, once again, this is a testament of how 2024 has been as a year, because we've had 2 categories so far we have not told each other anything of what we have picked for any of these categories before hitting record.
Some of us don't know what we're picking.
Right, true.
Some of us don't.
Some of us are flying by the seat of their Grinch hoodie, but
yeah.
The fact that we come in here and we've been able to get through 2 categories so far and give different answers, all 3 of us, for each thing, is a testament to how phenomenal of a year this year has been in 2024. With that, let's move on to a category where I want to do this now. I want to rip the Band-Aid, because I'm gonna be honest. There are a couple of categories we decided just before hitting record, so all 3 of us are going to be winging these categories. The first of which I would like to offer up to the table is the category of most overrated superstar. And Yusuf would love to go first. Now, this is a category of obviously someone who's been used maybe a little too much. Someone that's been built up a little higher than they deserve to be at. Yeah. And so we're going to talk about that. Because, as much good as there may be this year, there's also some bad. And overrated might not necessarily be bad, but, more negative than others. So, Yusuf, who is your most overrated of 2024 as you swig your last sip of water before giving the pipe bomb?
So, on the topic of most overrated, years ago, when we did an awards thing like this in the early days of the podcast, we had a kind of similar category, and at the time I had said Shinsuke Nakamura, who is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, but back then he wasn't really doing much. My most overrated for 2024 is the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada. It just is, right? It has to be. And it bugs me to say it, but you have to face facts where the facts are, and they're right in front of you, is, yes. He came to AEW earlier this year, coming off his literally historical run in New Japan, basically carrying the company on his shoulders and on his back for the better part of 10 years. Shows up in AEW after everyone knew he was going to come to AEW. There was no way he was going to WWE. And everyone's already, in their heads, they're like, Okada's coming. Okada's here. We're going to get Okada Omega 8, even though it's only been like 4. We're going to get Okada and Moxley. We're going to get Okada and Danielson. Again, we're going to get Okada and Swerve and this guy and that guy and that guy. And they gave him the Continental Championship in March in Toronto. I was at that show. And I said, okay, cool. They've already got a belt on him, but it's not the world title? Okay. I guess it makes sense, right? And then as the months went by, I would go, all right, Okada singles match. We're getting an Okada singles match. Multi-man match. Tag match. Blah, 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 blah. Couple title defenses here and there. But nothing of this run so far has screamed Rainmaker. Even if you didn't watch New Japan when he was there, everyone knew who he was. Because he would make headlines being one of the best wrestlers on the planet. So when he came to AEW, all the AEW fans, the American fans that were so, they hadn't really heard of Okada, they hadn't seen him do his thing, they're hearing about this going, oh yeah, we're in for a fucking treat with this guy. It just hasn't been there, right? And now you're starting to hear more and more from journalists, from other people, especially like content creators around the social media circles. This whole Okada comedy character was funny for a bit. It just got stale fast. Like, how much better is it when he's just doing something and then calls someone a bitch? Like, he's done that every month since he got here. Now what? Yeah. My most overrated is Okada.
You know, you made it seem like I would be shocked by that. Honestly, I'm not super shocked, and I agree.
I'm kind of glad you're not.
I agree with you. Now, I should have probably gone last, because this is going to get a lot of hate. A lot of hate. And maybe not from YouTube, but for people that might be watching the podcast that aren't familiar with us, or more just generally fans of the wrestling business. My most overrated of 2024. It comes with a couple of caveats. Let me preface by saying I do absolutely adore this person. I love this person. They are one of the greatest of the modern era. They are an icon. It's the Eradicator. It's Rhea Ripley. And let me tell you why.
I got heat.
Let me tell you why. Before we
No. Before I got to give you your that's bold.
Thank you.
Ballsy,
I recognize that Rhea, and like I said, Rhea will go down as a Hall of Famer. I love Rhea. She's one of my personal favorites. She's the best, one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time, in my opinion, and of this era, 1,000%. But the reason I say that she's overrated is she's cut the same promo the entire year. Every single week. And I understand that it's because of injury. But there's one thing that Triple H has been very good at in most cases. But in some cases, in particular this Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan story that has gone on way longer than it has any right to have gone on. There's one thing that he hasn't done, and that is pivot. He should have pivoted. He should have either wrapped it up when he had the chance or pivoted, and he hasn't. It's more on Triple H than it is on Rhea Ripley, because I understand that Rhea, I know for a fact, Rhea does not deserve to be the most overrated of 2024. She does not. But every week has been, Liv Morgan has ruined my life, has put me on the shelf, and I'm coming back for my Women's World Championship. I could probably go back to June and hear the same promo.
We're almost done, though.
We're almost
she
done.
Didn't come back till August,
but it's
or
gone.
July. So
yeah,
it's gone on for too long.
The problem with Rhea Ripley, and it sucks to say that there was a problem with Rhea Ripley this year, because they're so involved in the main event scene of the women's division in WWE. But I think that's also part of the problem.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's part of the problem in that it's great that she's there, but if her target is the same every time, what's the point? Because you could go back to, like just right after Mania, and it's her talking about Liv Morgan, or something. Dom was still there at the time. It was something about Dom, right? Everything Rhea has done this year has revolved around those two people, whether it be feuding with them or being with Dom. And while that's fine, there was so much more you could have done with Rhea Ripley. Even the War Games thing felt like a cop-out to me. Like, oh no, who's going to be our fifth member against Team Liv Morgan? Oh, it's Rhea Ripley. Who's shocked by that?
And Rhea was taking those wins. That arguably, Rhea also took those wins when honestly she didn't need them. That's part of the reason why she's overrated. She won way too much.
And that's the thing too, is what does Rhea pinning Liv at War Games do for anyone except Rhea? And then the next question to ask is...
They got her a championship match on Netflix. On the first Netflix show.
Yeah, which
only took 3 months to happen. Though.
If you don't remember where the show is taking place, it's taking place on Netflix.
Yeah, but 2 months. We pushed it for 2 months. Could have happened at Saturday Night's Main Event. Not saying it needed to. I'm not. I understand. I understand why I understand why it happens on Netflix.
I'm glad I popped you.
But it's definitely gone on way too long for me, and I just at this point am like, Rhea just needs to go and do something else. And honestly, at this point, I don't think she should beat Liv. I think Liv should beat Rhea, but I don't think she will. I think Rhea will beat Liv. And take the title into Mania, because let's face it, that's the match.
Money, right?
Rhea versus somebody is money.
Rhea versus anybody is big money for them. Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, she's still an incredible wrestler. Is one of the best in the division, one of the best of all time, if anything.
Yep. I asked for one of her shirts for Christmas. I love Rhea.
Yeah, she's great. But it's just that it's feeling a little, for lack of a better term, it's feeling a little Charlotte Flairy, where they're just kind of the WWE booking team looks at a feud and they go, okay, what can we sprinkle into Rhea Ripley? Okay. And it's for everything this year, right? The Liv Rhea story has gone on a little too long, and I think that's also just because the Judgment Day thing's gone on way too long.
Yep.
So
that's been the huge. They've been a huge component of any negativity I've had over this year, and it sucks because I love everybody involved, but that's just how it was. And just for the record, the chicken tender slut line didn't hit for me. I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, that was great." It didn't hit.
Yeah.
It felt cheesy. It felt corny.
Yeah.
Didn't like it.
I mean, never mind. I can't. Anyway, so
Fair enough.
My underrated of the year, and we've kind of been
Overrated. Just
under or overrated?
Overrated. My fault. My overrated. We've kind of started getting into this topic a few times over the last couple weeks. LA Knight. Rough year for LA. Knight. Should have won a title at Mania. Didn't. Got stuck with AJ Styles. AJ Styles got hurt or left or then came back and got hurt again. And then kind of had to draw out the summer till he could beat Logan Paul to do really nothing and really impress nobody, to then lose the belt in kind of an unceremonious fashion.
So with that
it's been a rough year for LA Knight. So sorry, LA Knight, one of the most over guys on the roster, yet super overrated to me.
We're not done here.
Just not a great year.
We're not done here. Because I'm jumping over to underrated, and my choice is LA Knight.
No.
Yep.
No.
If he was on Raw this year, he would have done way more, and he would have been a world champion.
Ain't no if. I don't care about ifs or buts, and no, he wouldn't have, because there's a Gunther.
And here
and there's a Damian Priest. There was no chance
Plans could have changed, bruh. Plans could have been different if he was on Raw.
He was not getting no belt.
Plans could have been different if he was on Raw.
He was not getting no world title belt. His stock is quickly falling.
But why? Because he was on a brand where he couldn't rise to that level because Roman was there blocking the way, and now Cody's there blocking the way.
So stars that have more depth and more to give.
LA Knight has been trying to show the depth
to give. He did show depth a year and a half ago.
The problem is what we said. They were too late. But if they invested, brought him over to Raw, had him, and they tried to build him as a main event guy. To be honest, there's really there was no room for him on Raw either. Seth was taking up a lot of space. Bronson Reed started taking up a lot of space. Jey Uso takes up a lot of space. Sami Zayn takes up a lot of space. Gunther takes up a lot. Do I need to continue? Do I need to keep going? But any of them could have been moved to SmackDown and done the same shit.
Nope.
Yeah,
I didn't see all that happening.
I think so.
Nope.
I think so. I think there could have been a possibility for LA Knight to go to Raw and flourish, and that's why LA Knight's my most underrated. I think because that point in particular is why I think he's underrated. Is because the reason why he's in the position he's in is because the roster was too packed and they couldn't find something for him, and they couldn't have it. They weren't going to have him take the title from Roman. They weren't going to have him take the title from Cody. They weren't going to turn him heel, and they had no other choice but to just have him ride the wave on SmackDown in the mid-card purgatory. Because then they gave him the title and they were like, okay, now what? They have nothing, and then they kind of just gave up.
So let's look at it like this, though. Do you remember one good LA Knight match that isn't the Logan Paul match?
No, but that's not what LA Knight's about.
There we go.
That's not what the LA Knight one is about.
How many memorable promos did he have this year versus last year? I can remember maybe 3.
Yeah.
This year, I can remember
that's more than what most people I could say. I can remember
I can remember most of the promos from this year from most of the top guys. I can remember at least 3 promos from each top guy.
That's pretty cool. That's good for you.
Because the promos are good and they continue a story. They don't just kind of say the same, cute and fun, and he's funny and he's witty, but the
interactions with Logan.
Short. It's kind of like an Enzo Amore thing. How many times can I hear the 0 dimes line? It's great, but it loses stock and it's hype.
The interaction with Logan, the interaction with Legato was good, especially the part where we talked about a couple weeks ago.
That's 2.
I'm not. I
Can you
don't
even
need
get a
to list-
third? Can you get a third?
I'm sure there was a good one with Styles. I'm sure that there was a good one with Styles.
I
It was
don't
the
remember
beginning of
any
the year.
Styles
It
ones.
was the beginning of the year.
I remember a Randy one more than
Okay,
I
that's
think.
good too.
Then I think I remember that. I don't even really remember what went on in that promo either.
There was also the Mello spot where he cut
Actually,
the promo
that wasn't
with
even
Mello
him.
when
That was KO and Randy.
There was the spot where he called out Mello when Mello fucked up and did the Freudian slip and said the wrong name or said wrong word or something like that.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, there was that too. It was that. LA Knights has plenty. He just hasn't been given the right. He hasn't been put in the right talent pool to be able to flourish.
It's been a shitty year for him.
It has, and it's just interesting that you and I can have completely different outlooks on him because of this shitty year, and that's why I jumped over to that category.
Io Sky.
I would like to. Whoa.
Hella underrated. But we all know that. So
we all know
like,
that, though. Yeah.
But we all know that, and I mean, it's just the reason why I'm gonna say she's underrated is because how she's being booked on TV, right? She's starting to become this reliable person on TV, right? That's kind of what's going on. You're starting to see her get put in these situations because you know she's going to deliver. You kind of know that, and you also kind of know she's going to lose.
Yeah.
Maybe a Rumble win.
I hope. I really hope she wins the Rumble.
She's earned it.
Io deserves that. She has. She really has.
She's taken a year of losing and turned it into chicken salad, and Naomi has done the same thing, and it's chicken shit.
Yeah. So. I mean, Io for losing so much this year is still widely considered as one of the best wrestlers in the world. Like, it's insane. But she's just that good, right? She's that consistent and everything about that. I have to think about this one for a second. For underrated, because I didn't want to mix it up with the other ones we have going on with like new awards and like most improved and stuff like that. I'm gonna give it to. I don't know if I want to do this. No, you know what I will. From NXT, I am giving it to Andre Chase. I think.
Did somebody say Andre Chase?
Chase.
No one did.
Still, no one said that. Sit down. This has been a year where I've paid more attention to NXT and seen what's been going on in the tag division because there's been so much. And Chase U's been fun, right? Like, I know about Andre Chase. I know you can cut a promo, he's fine, whatever, right? But man, I you know what, Ty? NXT Heatwave made me change my mind about him because I just didn't think much about Andre Chase until that point because like I just seen him cut promos on NXT and it's fine, it's a few matches, okay, cool, but that dude's a workhorse. He is a fucking workhorse of a talent in NXT.
I thought you were going to say the tag match spot with the Canadian Destroyer that he did.
That's exactly what I'm thinking
as the OMG of the year, though. I thought that you were going to put that.
I thought about it, but man, it just like that dude can wrestle. He can work. He can work a WWE match, and I truly hope for the best for him. Now that Chase U is unfortunately gone, and the other thing too is like, it's not that he was tied up in Chase U. They were doing so well this year, but had a tag title match, didn't win. Tag title match didn't win. Tag title match didn't win. Always came close, but never could just get it. But god damn it, Andre Chase is something else.
But now the U has fallen.
Yeah, that's why underrated. Andre Chase.
Hell yeah.
Oh my god, the Panthers.
What did they do?
Anyway, no, I'm kidding. What did they do?
Kyler Murray is ass.
Oh, good. That's great for me. Right? Is he on your team? I forget. I don't know who's on your team.
The Panthers are going to win a game.
They're going to beat the Cardinals?
They're going to beat the Cardinals. And that sucks for the Cardinals. That's
depressing.
Damn.
Because there is no reason for them to take a win right now.
Nope.
Keep tanking for Tua. What are they doing?
Oh my god.
Speaking of NXT, I'm going to jump over to non-wrestling character of 2024. And that is...
Do you have an order for this?
No, I'm just winging it based on how the conversation flows and see if I can make some segues, which so far has been pretty good. So we'll see how it goes.
Sure.
Yeah, so for this category, I kind of thought of, any character on television that's not a wrestler. Could be a commentator, could be a referee, could be a manager, could be a GM.
I'll tell you my least favorite.
Great. Who's your least favorite?
Joe Tessitore.
You're right. Well, that is my pick. No, I'm just kidding. My pick for best non-wrestling character of 2024 is NXT's general manager. It's Ava. And I was going to pick Adam Pearce because there's too much slander for Adam Pearce. I hope one of you guys did, but if you
No,
didn't,
I
it's
think
fine.
the internet loves him.
No, they don't. They hate him. They think
Still?
they don't hate him, but they say that Nick Aldis is a better GM.
Well, he is.
Who he is,
That's
but Adam
not-
Pearce
that's
is
the
better
point, right?
On TV,
vibes.
he is. That's the
Yeah,
gimmick.
that's
Literally
the whole thing.
That's literally the gimmick.
But I decided to go with NXT and give it to Ava because Ava started as a wrestler, and we all know how that turned out. She couldn't talk for shit. She
Not
couldn't
great.
wrestle for shit.
She still kind of is rough around the edges.
She is still
Yeah,
rough around
but
the edges as a
that's
talker,
definitely-
but as an authority figure, I think she's really come into her own, and I think that she plays a good balance of, obviously she's young. She's younger than, I believe, us. And she's at the same age as most of the NXT talent. So she's not, they don't lie. They don't make her seem like she's older and that she's wiser than all of these
Ball
people.
don't lie.
But she does a good job of acting as if she's their peer because she's the same age, but also as their boss because that's exactly what she is. She's their boss. She plays a really good a foil to those anti-authority heels, and she plays a really good authority figure. She makes very level-headed decisions, and it's a good balance of. And I say this about all the authority figures. I don't think Aldis or Pierce do a bad job of this, or the writing makes them do a bad job of this. But she, in particular, from someone that had no talent to start with, the reason why she shifted to an authority figure is because she didn't have the talent to be a wrestler or a manager. So they were like, we got to find something for this person. And she's done a really good job. I think she's going to be an authority figure of the future. I think she eventually will literally, like a wrestler, will get called up to Raw or SmackDown at some point. Maybe when they decide Nick Aldis can wrestle again. That'd be cool. But yeah.
When they decide that William Regal wants to go back into the position.
That's hilarious. He has a different route, and I'll tell you why. Maybe after 2 weeks from now, maybe, because spoilers for this week's NXT. But yeah, Ava is my non-wrestling character of the year. Who's next?
Pat Mack. Y'all know the deal. I don't even gotta explain why it's Pat Mack.
It's Pierce, right? Nick Aldis, great on-screen GM, but that's the whole point of Nick Aldis. Adam Pearce has the other problem on Raw where everything is out of control, and he's just sitting there like, I need more booze. Like, we're starting to see Ring of Honor Adam Pearce.
To be fair, he has the rougher roster to deal
He
with.
does have the rougher
But
roster.
also, to be fair,
Adam
he
Pearce-
said that he booked that roster to be that way.
Yeah.
He said that he drafted the most chaotic wrestlers because that's what Raw
Adam
is.
Pearce is the city, like the inner city teacher that is dealing with the inner city.
Bro is
Yeah.
Commissioner Gordon.
He's Commissioner Gordon.
While
yeah.
Nick Aldis just gets to hang out in the suburbs and really not deal with bullshit.
Nick Aldis gets to like sit in the suburbs, have his newspaper, drink his tea, whatever. And Adam Pearce is like trying not to shoot someone.
Adam Pearce is literally Commissioner Gordon. Like it's
No,
like it's Gotham
it's
City.
great.
Like it's absolute bedlam, and he's just like, someone's got to try to maintain control.
Who's his Batman though?
His Batman is that's a good question. I can't say Cody. I mean, he will be
No,
once
'cause
he goes
Cody
to
will
Raw for
eventually,
Netflix. Right now, maybe Priest.
Seth?
Priest. Because whenever Judgment Day pisses him off, he's like, all right, send Damien.
Yeah, it's fine. Damien, go.
He called the
Jey
he, pulled,
Uso.
he
Could be
put the
Jey.
Damien signal.
Yeah, he throws up the wing signal. Like
Yeah,
it's like the wings on the Tron.
No,
That's great. That's great. All right, cool. So that's our non-wrestling character category. I don't have. Oh, you know what?
We made it through a whole non-wrestling character segment without talking about Paul Heyman.
We did.
Sorry, not anymore. We didn't.
He didn't do too much
Well,
this year,
yeah.
to be fair. He was out
Are you
most of the
kidding
year
me?
selling.
I hate that damn song.
Well, yeah, I mean, he did stuff, but other people did consistently good stuff throughout the year. And I wanted to give some love to people that aren't the
I know,
go-tos.
Paul
That's why I
Heyman's
went to
cool,
Ava.
And plus, like, Paul was gone for a while, so
Mhm.
the months without Paul, we were like,
I-
we miss Paul.
Yeah.
But
Let's go, speaking of Paul Heyman, let's go to Faction of the Year. For me, I think, especially now, by the very end of 2024, they've earned it. And I never thought I would say it. It's the new Bloodline. It's Solo's Bloodline. Like, they started the year and we were like comparing them to the OG Bloodline. The wrestling community was like, how are these guys going to be perceived as a threat? Solo was an idiot. Solo seemed dumb.
Well, we still don't think they're a threat. I wouldn't go that far.
I would say that they're trying.
I wouldn't say that
actively
they're a
trying
threat.
to build them
Better.
as a threat.
they're
I
trying
think
to-
what I think what I would say is they're a meme that's caught on.
And that's fine. That's fine.
It works. It
Solo,
works.
Solo in particular
There's a
is
level
gonna
of
be
the
the
original
serious guy.
Bloodline that was that
Right.
people kind of recalled on because of the meme.
Right.
I get
Right.
it.
Mhm.
But I mean,
It
this
started-
is pure memes.
It started as Solo cosplaying Roman, right? It started with him just straight up cosplaying Roman, and he does still do cosplay elements of what Roman used to do, but he's starting to develop his own character. The moment where he pulls the tickets out and he's laughing like, I got tickets to come here and cause bullshit. The moments where he's squeak, like, make it like, oh, you showed up here, huh? You decided to come here, huh? Like, that's Roman shit right there, but that's the shit we liked about what Roman did when he'd just clown on other people and laugh shit off. The moments where, like, at this presser for Raw Netflix at WWE HQ, where he comes out all serious and Cole's like, Tama Tonga, what's your thoughts on Raw going to Netflix?
Yeah.
Shh. Yeah. All right. Okay. Interesting. All right. Jacob, what about you? I love you, Solo. Okay. Like, they just know that they are. They just know who they are. They're Crab, Goyle, and Malfoy. Like, that's it, and that's fine. That's cool. That's honestly, it's been their best work. Also, I'm trying to take a level of kayfabe into it. They've main evented multiple shows. They've opened multiple shows, and we know this year, especially, the opening match is the second best match of the card, the second highest on the card in terms of, you know, story and prestige and value, how much it means. They've opened and closed multiple shows. They have been carrying SmackDown. They are the anchor being on SmackDown. If there was no Solo's Bloodline, SmackDown would not have many stories from this year. Yeah, I'm giving it to New Bloodline. And I think 2025 is going to prove to be an even better year for them. Especially Tongaloa. I love you, my king.
I'm giving it to the Bloodline version with Rock and Roman and Solo. That is a scary trio.
They barely are even a thing.
That's a scary trio, is what that is.
That's barely a thing.
That's a scary trio, is what that is.
That's not even a faction, dog.
That was a faction. That was Rock is a member of the Bloodline. It was said on TV, and they never did anything with it.
Well, Solo said there was a plan at Survivor Series.
All I'm saying is that. Now, granted, they could have expanded on that a little bit more, but I like the original incarnation of that, and like looking at it, it's like that's scary. And then there's Jimmy Uso though.
That's Glaze. I'm sorry, that's Glaze, bro. I thought you were gonna say the OG Bloodline, and I was still gonna clown you, but I think that's a worse answer in my eyes, in my opinion. I respect it, but wow.
Well, it ain't the Judgment Day.
To pick a group that's barely a faction compared to, well, yeah, it's definitely not Judgment
Day. They're the Bloodline. They were called the Bloodline.
I don't consider them. Yeah, I don't know.
I do.
That's fair. I respect it.
Technicalities. You know what the problem
Details.
is details, if you will.
And it's not the Death Rider, whatever the fuck they're called over there.
See, so originally when I was thinking about this category, I was thinking about it. I'm like, Blackpool
it was gonna
Combat
be
Club.
for me.
If only that story went well.
If only the last 3 months. Yeah, if only the last 3 months went better, I would have said it's Blackpool Combat Club / Death Riders, because they had a really good argument going into, halfway through this year, being like, okay, they are, the scary faction. And then everything happened at everything happened at Full Gear, where Mox wins the title and they murder Bryan Danielson, and I go, okay, this is starting to help my argument even more for them being faction of the year. Like, they're murdering the top guy of the company. They're murdering everyone in sight. Awesome. And then they took that pickup truck they drive all the time in their promos and drove it off a cliff. So my pick is the Bloodline, but both sides of the Bloodline.
Which version?
Does that see? That's the problem.
You got like 3 versions you can choose from. Maybe 4 if you really.
I would personally say it's OG Bloodline, it's Solo's Bloodline, and it's, I don't know what Emil's Bloodline is, but it's one.
So this will.
It's in a promo.
It is in a promo. There's, again, details, if you will. I think it has to be. I'm going to have to go with Solo's Bloodline. And here's the thing, right? To all of Tyler's points, because they are very accurate, they are aware of what they are finally. We hated them at first. I still kind of hate them for ruining Tama Tonga for me. But they've kind of come into their shell. Like, they know what they are. So they're like, okay, fuck it, we'll just roll with this. Like, they don't want to be taken super, super seriously. They can be taken seriously by being goofballs. Like, Tama Tonga is a great talker, but the only thing he says on a microphone is shh. does the head movement, and Tongaloa doesn't even do anything, so good for you, Tongaloa, just don't. And then Jacob Fatu is one of the best wrestlers on the planet. And the only...
Yeah, seriously, Tonga, don't.
And Jacob Fatu says 4 words. I love you, Solo. That's it. And you can't forget about the, And Solo, for every shit that I gave him this year, has done exactly what he needed to with this bloodline. And that is get people to hate them. Because that was never the point of the bloodline. Right? The point of the bloodline was to be strong, and it was to be public enemy number 1 to everyone. Now, yes, he was kind of cosplaying Roman for a little bit, where his only target was Cody, but then they said, screw it, we have other things we can target. Let's target the tag titles, let's start targeting other people. I know recently on SmackDown, they've been attacking, like, Apollo Crews and shit like that, so... Yeah.
Let's move from that and say, let's target Paul Heyman. That
He
moment at the Garden.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, they targeted Paul Heyman. Like, they understood what they needed to, and Solo's done a good job of, definitely with a fair bit of outcry here and there, but yeah, I think it's Solo's bloodline this year. And again, it's hard to not pick them when, I mean, what, like...
But what's your other option? Judgment Day?
Judgment Day?
LWO, Legado del Fantasma, Final Testament.
Who's even in? Don't even answer that
Gallus.
Who?
Metaphor.
Please
Fatal
name another.
Influence.
Okay.
These are
these are all factions. That means
Yeah,
Chase
they are all
U.
factions.
above 3 people.
Chase U was technically a faction. I mean, Final Testament,
yeah,
even like the Wyatt Six, you could have made an argument for, but the limited use of the Wyatt Six is not, palpable there. With Final Testament,
which is good for,
I have
which is good for them.
I have words about the Wyatt Six because there's been a lot of hate toward them, and I have some words against that. But for the
we're hating now.
In the
Who's
purpose
hating?
of this episode, the wrestling community generally.
Yeah, the wrestling community is not.
Yeah, they're not, especially after Uncle Howdy got pinned by Carrion.
Yeah.
But
No.
I have gripes with that because listen, not everything needs to be booked like they need to be on TV every week, right, Emil?
Who said that? What are we arguing?
You like to say that things like to be booked on. You like things don't have to be on TV every week thing.
There's only 2 hours worth of TV right now.
Yeah, even with 3 hours though, I think that's the case. But that's a topic for another day. That's a topic for another day. So you talk about heels, Yusuf, in particular with Solo's Bloodline, and how they worked through 2024 to really get you to hate them. And there's ways for heels to get you to hate them, and there's ways for faces to make you like them. There are turns that happen along the way. Next category is the heel or face turn of 2024. And for me, I'm going with a heel turn, and I think you might know what it is. There was a 10-year anniversary celebration on Monday Night Raw for the New Day. Kofi and Xavier come out. They're ready to basically say, listen, we're parting ways. We're going on our own way. Who comes out? Big E. He offers to rebuild their friendship, bring the New Day back to the greater heights as their manager. And what do they say?
No.
Now you come back? You broke your neck? So what? It's the New Day. It is absolutely the New Day, and it is not even close.
The Rock would like to have a word with you.
Not really.
The Rock would like to have a word with you.
Nah, not really.
That's not even my pick, and I think The Rock would like to have a word with you.
It wasn't creative. That was the authority figure heel turn.
It was absolutely creative.
I mean,
they didn't want to do that.
Not in comparison to New Day. It was not that creative in my opinion.
The New Day one was kind of like duh to me.
Well, congratulations. I think how it was done is very different. Because I thought they were going to attack. What's up?
To that point, I do want to say, when it comes to mainly with a heel turn, right? It's not so much about or I guess it is. It's about how it's done, right? What about it's the execution of it, right? It's not after the shot's taken, it's how the shot was
exactly. It's
shot,
the moment itself.
Right? It's the moment itself. And that is why my turn of the year, I'm going heel turn here. I swallowed it all. Well, not swallowed it, but I'm going AEW on this one. I don't. Maybe you can guess what it is. Maybe you can't. But my heel turn of the year is the Mariah May turn on Toni Storm. Because, again, it's about the execution, right? We all knew, who was following the Timeless Toni Storm story, Mariah May shows up. She's like, Toni, I'm your biggest fan. Oh my God, I want to be you. And the whole thing, she becomes Toni's prodigy, yada, 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 follows her everywhere, wrestles matches for her, blah, blah, blah. Everyone knew that at some point, Mariah May is going to turn heel, take the title off Toni Storm. We didn't know when. Fast forward, we get to the summer. Mariah May wins the Owen Hart for the women's side. She gets a women's title match against Toni Storm at All In. And everyone goes, okay. So she won. Where's the heel turn? Is it going to happen during the match? No. It happened as soon as she won. Goes to the ramp, celebrating with the trophy and the belt and whatever the hell you get else for winning the Owen. Toni Storm comes out, and then Mariah May just wipes her. That exact moment, because everyone knew, it's coming. When? We don't know. No one, I don't think a lot of people expected it to happen as soon as she won the match. People were thinking maybe the week later on Dynamite or something. No. And the next thing is after the execution, what do they do to maintain the heat of that turn? And for the next few weeks going into All In, it was just Mariah May constantly belligerent against Toni Storm, just destroying her in every way possible. And finally, the outcome, which was the correct answer. Mariah May wins at All In. So,
yeah, man.
And
to piggyback off that, it's also like with New Day. Like I think what you're saying, like with the moment in particular, that's what I think about. Like the Rock moment didn't
slapped the shit out of the biggest babyface in the company. That's not a heel turn?
That was an OMG moment. More.
I feel like he was already a heel going into that, though. You know what I mean?
No, that was no. Yes, but no. Like you could see that's where it was going. But that was the whole promo is.
I feel like he walked. I agree with Yusuf. I feel like he walked in as a heel, and he walked. Last time we saw him, he was supposed to be a babyface.
He walked in as a face.
He did not. They booed him.
He did.
They booed him. They said, "Fuck you, Rocky. Rocky sucks." They booed him.
They were also cheering him.
They booed him.
He walked in.
I think you're gonna.
He walked in with the role assumed as a face.
I think you're gonna think my family tree is pretty cool, dude. Nobody gives a fuck about your family tree right now. We care about the main event of WrestleMania.
Before he even started talking, he walked in as a babyface.
As soon as
he turned in the promo, then he slapped the shit out of him, which is I'm a heel, boo me.
He did not.
That's what it is. All right, we're just not reading wrestling. We're just not doing wrestling today.
We're remembering all the details.
We're lying.
We're remembering all the details. The turn happened over the week because the fans were like, "Fuck Rocky! Why are they doing this?" He came out in Alabama and the fans cheered him because I would cheer him if he came out on a surprise appearance too. But then he took the main event of the greatest babyface at the time, the guy who should have been the guy to take the main event, and then the internet wrestling community said, "Fuck this guy." They said, fuck this guy for coming in and ruining our main event. And then he had no choice but to come in and be a dickhead because he said that he basically treated them like as if they already turned on him. In my opinion,
still doing what?
In my opinion, there was no defined moment on TV that we saw. There was no defined moment that we saw on TV.
Slap.
He already was coming in as a dickhead.
Pat McAfee
showing
show.
The TV.
Whichever, it's either Pat McAfee show.
Pat McAfee show is not canon in WWE TV. I mean, everything does count, and I will say that, but it's not on wrestling television.
Yes, this one is canon though because they put it on TV.
Did they put it on what TV?
They did.
On WWE TV?
There was
on
TV
WWE.
Of this one.
They said
either on their YouTube or something. There was. This did make.
I'm judging it on what's on television. On what's on Raw. I think this one did make TV. I don't believe it did, but fair enough. But no, with New Day in particular, not only was it a turn that I saw from beginning to end on screen, it was a turn that made me feel something more. I'm
just glad you didn't say the KO then.
Oh no,
because none of that was on screen. So
that's recency bias.
No.
So is that a heel turn? Because he didn't do any of that on screen. Is that canon?
Yeah.
Is that canon?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
He turned heel off screen.
Okay. I was going to say, if you say yes, I'm going to...
It would be an OMG moment, in my opinion. It would be an OMG moment. It was a heel turn that happened off screen, but yeah.
Okay, I was going to say, by your logic, that's not a heel turn then. Okay.
No. Good talk. I'm willing to concede that for sure. Okay. But yeah, I mean, like, it's a heel turn, but it's not one I would say is a heel turn of the year because it wasn't a heel turn that was on screen. But...
I would argue that it's a top 3 heel turn, but since we're not calling things on screen a heel turn anymore,
He attacked.
We're picking and choosing what we call.
What I liked was that New Day turned heel without having to lay a finger on Big E, and I still felt heartbroken because my second choice was going to be Wes Lee's heel turn on the Rascals, but what happened afterwards was a wet fart.
Answer.
It was a great heel turn in the moment, but I think New Day's momentum coming out of it is way stronger than what Wes Lee's was coming out of his.
Oh, his flop.
Big flop. I'm glad we can agree on that.
Big belly flop.
Yep. But yeah, that's my thing. So that's
mine. I still have an answer to this.
Yeah, let's get to you. I was gonna say let's get to you next.
The super heel turn. The super heel. I didn't know a heel could turn heel. I didn't know. I really did not know what was going on. Well, actually, no, we did know a heel could turn heel because Kevin Owens did it. I got it. But besides that, I think this is the first time I've seen the super heel turn. Right? It's rare we get one of these. Dom Kiss and Liv at SummerSlam. He was already the bad guy. He got licked though on Raw and got cheered and okay. Anyway, SummerSlam happened, and then he chose his side bitch over his main bitch, while his
wife watched.
While his real wife is chilling, counting the money. So
crazy shit, uncanny fucking.
Anyway,
the bag.
So Dom gets it just off the fact that he's a super heel.
Craziness.
And I love all the jokes that come with Dom. Also, this Eagles game is going ridiculous right now.
Wild. All right.
Dude, Nick Sirianni is playing with all of our emotions for what?
As we quickly go there and talk about football, go Lions and fuck the Bears. Sorry, Seth Rollins.
Hey.
Crazy.
And Tim.
Bro, they're just we're tanking for Tua.
Yeah, I know. And we're trying to win a Super Bowl, so.
Good luck with that.
Speaking of a team trying to break out and win the Super Bowl, let's talk about our breakout.
I'll text you on the side.
Uh-huh.
Let's talk about our breakout wrestler of the year. I think we all have the same one. We might. I know Yusuf and I probably have the same one. It's Obafemi. Dude came in. It
is Oba, right?
Dude came into this year as...
Wow, I actually have a different answer.
As a non-wrestler and as about to win the NXT Championship. If not on January 7th, then the next at Stand and Deliver. Like, he's going to be the champion and he's going to beat Trick. And it's crazy. I was just at NXT Live this past week, and he was there, and he got easily one of the biggest pops of the night, if not the biggest pop of the night. It was crazy.
The only acceptable answer here is Bronson Reed.
So I
consider him most improved because he's been around for a while.
Bronson Reed. What a breakout year for him.
Bronson's had a breakout year for sure.
What a breakout year. And this is a year thing. So I'm that he fits. He's a breakout.
Valid arguments altogether.
Oba's been around for like 3 years. This isn't the first year Oba's been around.
This has been like the year.
I know exactly. So same thing with Bronson.
Well, Bronson's been around for longer than Oba. It's been like 5 years.
I know he went to New Japan. I got it.
Yeah, he did. What are you talking about? There's no such thing. What?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
He beat Yusuf's most overrated wrestler of the year. What?
That did happen.
Oh, yeah, he did beat him in the G1.
It's on Wikipedia. It must be true.
Wikipedia. It must be true. There are valid arguments for Oba, and there's valid arguments for Bronson. And my pick is Obafemi as well. I actually had to think about this one for a little bit because I had 3 different people in mind for this one. Oba was number 1. Number 2 was kind of a tie between Jacob Fatu, who you got to admit, like, he's only been here half the year, but, you know...
He hasn't wrestled much.
Yeah, but the matches he has wrestled, oh my goodness. That's the thing, right? It's a small sample size, but from what he's done so far, you kind of look at him and go, this guy's a main eventer, right? Oba, I remember at Heatwave, seeing him in person, I'm like, this guy just... Everything about him, his presence, everything screams megastar. You know, for all the times you talk about, like, for people that talk about, like, Montez Ford potentially being a big singles guy when Street Profits splits up, or, like, LA Knight being a world champ, I look at them and I go, okay, I kind of get it, but, like, I don't know where you see the megastar vibe from. Like, they've got the charisma for it, but there's something that's missing. I look at Oba and I'm like, Jesus Christ, he's everything. He's got everything you need to be a main eventer for PLEs in the future. And last I had, if we're talking about breakout years specifically, this year in particular, 2024, I gotta give my flowers to Swerve Strickland. I gotta give my flowers to Swerve for everything he was put through in his time in WWE. And NXT was a great time when he was still, Sir Scott, but coming to AEW, finding his footing, the feud with Hangman last year and then going into this year, and then, becoming AEW World Champion, beating Samoa Joe clean as a whistle for the AEW World title, putting on some great matches with Christian, putting on a great feud and match with Will Ospreay, and for all of that to culminate in his title reign ending to Bryan Danielson at the main event of the biggest wrestling show for AEW of the year at All In. What a year, right? Like, what a huge breakout year for a guy like Swerve Strickland, where he has proved fully that he is a main eventer. Yes, Tim.
The fucking Commanders
Did they win?
just pulled out a fucking coup. Also, Oba gives me big Gunther vibes. Like that's the position,
Oba does.
kind of position,
Yes, he does.
the kind of position I see him kind of falling into.
Nigerian Gunther. Love it.
Yes.
I'm into it.
I'm into it.
Next,
Let's go over to Most Improved, because that's the one that's kind of similar in vein.
easy.
For me...
On three.
Oh.
On three.
Oh, I'm not going to have the same one.
On three.
Oh, no,
We're not
we're
gonna have the same
one.
On three.
Yeah.
We're not going to have the same one.
2, 3. Nia
Damian
Jax.
Priest.
No.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, yes, but no.
Yeah. I didn't hear Yusuf's answer, but
He didn't say an
Camille,
answer. He was like, I'm gonna not.
I
I'm
totally
gonna not.
respect the
Yeah.
Nia Jax answer.
I'm
I
gonna
absolutely
not.
respect the Nia Jax answer.
Okay. You know
about
what? Yeah,
Nia
no.
Jax.
It's Nia Jax.
It is Nia Jax.
It's Damian Priest.
So this was one of the only others. It was this and Breakout
Who did you
that I was
pick?
Trick
Oh.
Williams.
I can
Damian
see it.
Priest was my
I
other
can
option.
see it.
Damian,
Okay.
I had a toss.
So Nia's just on no one's radar.
No, she was definitely up there. But it's
Damn, am I a bloodline glazer?
She's definitely
Damn.
one of the. Yes, you are.
You
She's
are.
definitely one of the. I can't believe this is finally the moment you've become self-aware.
Yeah, like what?
No, but
Well,
this-
no. Some
No,
of
but
it's
this is-
very intentional.
in
This
my
one was
opinion,
not, though.
In my opinion, Nia right now is not doing the best. Like, she's doing great work as like the quality of work is good. It's just it's not drawing me in personally. It's just personally not drawing. I respect the talent. She's a great wrestler now. She's become much better, and her character's there. It's just like I'm just not. I'm personally not drawn to her stories. Damian, I'm more drawn to.
Yes,
So-
but when for me, like we're talking about improve. Like I mean, like it's night and day. Like she knows exactly what she's doing. She knows exactly how to work. She knows exactly how to get a response out of you. She's queen of the ring, champion, and could have been crown jewel. She's not though, but had that opportunity and was also in a women's War Games match. So she has had a hell of a year for coming back at the Rumble I believe this past year. So she's had a hell of a year.
Good pick.
So my top two being Trick and Damian Priest led down to the same criteria or the same ideology between the two, and that is the title helped make the man. With Damian Priest in particular, and I'm sure you're going to go into this, Tyler, but with Damian Priest in particular, good talent, great worker, all that. Can talk, but needs a little bit of a polish, right? But after he became champ, we really started to see that growth. And a lot of people look at a most improved category of what they were the year before to what they are now. I look at Damian Priest as to what he was a few months prior to what he was after he won the World Heavyweight title. Completely changed. Like, yeah, his mic skills were getting better and better, but, when you put him against guys like Gunther, that's when we started to see him really flourish, minus that one promo we don't talk about, but you've seen, like, a huge flourish in Damian Priest in everything he does. His work ethic, the way he talks, the way he carries himself to the ring. Like, even now, after he lost the title, he still feels like he's a guy who, when he walks out of the ring, he's been a former world champion. He's still got that, like, gusto to him. With Trick, I've said this so many times this year, this is the same dude who, on that very first episode of NXT 2.0, was introduced as my boy Trick Williams with the most awkward camera pan I've ever seen
It was the biggest who of all time.
It was the biggest who of all time. And this dude is the biggest name in NXT now. 2-time NXT champion. He's had, this year alone, if you told me that guy on that first episode of NXT 2.0 would go on years later to have banger NXT main events with the likes of Ethan Page, Ilya Dragunov, with Carmelo Hayes, I would not believe you. If you told me that he would be a 2-time NXT champion, I would not believe you. If you told me that his entrance would be the most hype thing in wrestling, I would not believe you. But here we are, where Trick Williams has come such a long way from what he once was. So my most improved is Trick Williams.
I just saw the clip from the Van Vliet interview about him picking the theme, how he wanted the family ties, and how they came out with that theme, and how they did not build that theme with the intent to have the whoop that trick chant
no, they did not.
in it. And it was just, it happened one day, organically, and it was a magical moment. Trick's a great pick. Nia is also a great pick. Jey Uso comes to mind for me as well. So the reason why I say my distinction between Breakout and Most Improved is they're the same thing. It's just Breakout is for people that have not been established prior, and Most Improved is for people that have more so, like, they've been there for a while, they've floundered, or they've not seen success and they have newfound success. So that's kind of where I went with Damian Priest. He's been on the roster for a while. He was in the COVID pandemic. He was a solid mid-carder at best. I didn't see him getting any further than that. When he won Money in the Bank, I was like, I guess so, but why? It should have been LA Knight, but why did they pick Damian Priest? Yeah. Dummy. But why did they pick Damian Priest? And even when Damian held the briefcase, it was ass. That booking was ass. The failed cash-ins where Drew was there around every corner, that was good. But that's the thing. He made the most of the shitty situation. Senior Money in the Bank. I remember I watched the interview he did with Van Vliet as well, and the whole purple briefcase, the Senior Money in the Bank, that was all him. He went to creative and was like, and pitched that. And he was like, if there's one thing that I wanted to do, it was stand out amongst the rest. And that was what I did. And that is what I love about Damian Priest, is that he will do anything that he can to set himself apart and to just take things that next level. I did not want him to win the world title. I definitely knew he wasn't going to beat Roman. So I knew once they introduced the world heavyweight title, okay, that's what Damian's going to win. But when? They did the whole thing at Mania. He cashed in, and I was like, even I wanted it to happen because of the moment. But even when he did it, I was like, I don't know if this is the good idea. I don't know. And then they did the Backlash match with Jay, and I still was like, I don't know if this is a good idea. And then it got better and better, and we got the Seth match at Money in the Bank. We got the Gunther match at SummerSlam. It's just been like, and has it been the best? No, I'll admit it's not been the best, but it's been really fucking good quality stuff. And he's a guy now that people are getting behind. He's a lot of people's favorite. He has that aura now. He has the new entrance with the blurred camera that, the focus kind of fades into focus. The theme is great. Well, not really. The old theme was great. That Judgment Day has now. All Rise. It's fine. It's like is what it is. The new remix though, with the more grungy guitar, that shit hits. Yeah, man. I think Damian Priest, that world heavyweight title run absolutely did make the man there. The title made the man. But listen, sometimes that's what it takes. And after he lost that belt, Damian is now a top tier main event player on Monday Night Raw. Where honestly, before that, I didn't know if he was gonna last. So Damian Priest is my most improved this year. And now we're getting into some heavy hitters, y'all, the overalls. Let's start with Tag Team of the Year of 2024. Sounds like Yusuf would like to go first.
Would you like to go first?
I could.
Okay.
So I'm going to dip into NXT for this one. I don't personally love this team, or I didn't. But now I really do love this team, and it's not the U. It's Fraxium.
It's Fraxium. Yeah.
It's Fraxium.
It's Fraxium.
That's the guy with the mask and then the other guy,
Nathan
right?
Fraser,
and
yes.
Nathan Fraser is
Fraser,
Seth Rollins Jr. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they're my pick
Jr. I
too,
don't get
to be
that,
fair.
but
So I figured
I get Tyler Bate Jr. out of him.
Tyler
He's
Bate.
kind of bo- he's kind of both.
Well, I say Nathan Fraser Jr. because or Seth Rollins Jr. because Rollins trained Nathan Fraser.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of the same moves. The Phoenix
But,
Splash, a lot of the same moves.
Yeah, I will.
I was going off.
Fraxium's also Fraxium's also my pick for tag team of the year. I think for what they've been doing in NXT. No, seriously, here's the thing, right? Like what they've been doing in NXT for this long, so consistently, through the constant, the will they, won't they break up thing.
Yeah.
And they've been putting on bangers.
And here's the thing too. I thought about today. Like every time there's a will they, won't they, it's usually they do break up.
Yeah.
But the thing with Fraxium is they're doing the opposite of the will they, won't they, where they come together and they're stronger.
Yep.
And I honestly, like, I love that. I really do. Like I just watched that NXT live this week. The story going in. So first off, at Deadline, Fraser was. I mean, the last couple months have been like both of them wanting to go for the speed title, and they're both like, "Why are you doing this? We have a match coming up for our titles against X opponents, right?" But they still pull out as tag team champions. Pause. They still pull out the match as tag team champions. But now the story recently has been going into Deadline that Fraser qualified for the Deadline match. The Iron Survivor Challenge, and Axiom was like, dude, we have a tag match literally at Deadline, and they still were able to win the tag match even though Fraser got his ass kicked in the Deadline, in the Iron Survivor match. Fast forward to NXT this past week, Axiom had a match with Obafemi. The same night, they defended the tag titles against Gallus, and they pulled out. They pulled the victory, and dude, that's it. And they've come together stronger than ever. The green light for Gallus, love it. But yeah, man. Oh, the green and the red, I love that too, because we're on either side of my screen, so hell yeah. But yeah, man, the matches they've had, Chase U, Gallus, fucking, they're about to have a match with OTM. Spoilers. Dude, the amount of matches that they've had, the D'Angelo family, dude, like, listed off, they've had a good match with this team. Like, it's Fraxium all day. There's no question. Because on the main roster tag team scenes in WWE has been ass. AEW, you could make an argument.
That's what I was going to say. So this is actually the most difficult one for me, and as the one winging it right now, I'm actually a little lost. So I'm gonna go with this until the booking folded, and that's not the team's fault. So we're gonna keep the team rolling until the booking folded. And if they had won, this would have been it. And it's the Acclaimed. What a massive fold for AEW.
Oh yeah,
though. What a massive fold.
Yeah.
Why didn't they win? What was the point?
It really, yeah. This is
what
definitely
was the point? Why did I give all of my emotional investment? Because I emotionally invested into the Acclaimed.
Yeah, man, is this a common trend where
just fuck
two
you.
really great stories end up not being great at the end because they folded somewhere and they were both in AEW?
He doesn't do creative though. That's the worst part. Who's doing creative?
No, it is Tony. Right? No, Tony just does booking.
So who's doing creative? Fire them.
Hire us.
No, I don't want to work. I don't want to work there.
I don't want to work there either.
All right.
But like,
hire someone.
Hey, we could do a better job.
Nobody.
The bag.
We booked AEW like through the summer ones, and we actually had better booking.
Listen, bro, I'm about to book Adam Cole to the moon.
No, there you go. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, like, that's the problem, right? You look at other tag teams that were doing something this year. How many of them would you actually put on like a top 3 list for the year that were mainly champs?
I almost wanted to say Miz and Truth.
I wanted to put DIY, but this heel turn is too late in the year to put DIY.
Exactly, right? Like the DIY heel turn was too late.
Miz and
Truth was just...
Machine Guns just got here.
Machine Guns
also just got here. And I was going to say the other ones just got back to.
Wyatt Six, you could say Gacy and Loomis, but they literally haven't wrestled a tag.
They haven't really done any.
You have the Theory of Everything Australian. What are they called? What are they called themselves? A-Town Down Under.
You could have said the Tongans.
The Tongans. And then there's like, well, even from like,
not
and
enough.
And then there's what?
Agreed.
Like Finn and JD.
Or Finn and Priest.
Or Finn and Priest.
Finn and Priest because they walked into the year as champs.
They did. But then you look at like the AEW side. It's like, what do you have? You have the Acclaimed. You've got like kind of Death Riders if you consider like Wheeler and Claudio or whoever they want to put together.
Wait a minute.
The Bucks. Like,
well, wait a minute.
I just realized something. How did Finn walk in this year as a tag team champion and walk out this year as tag team?
He didn't walk out.
No, he didn't because they lost.
He
almost walked out.
Yeah.
Almost.
Goddamn. So Finn held the tag title for most of the year.
Yeah.
After them purposefully splitting it so he could lose it.
Yes.
I mean, look at TNA.
Who cares?
Like who does TNA have for tag? ABC, honestly.
TNA's got nothing much going on.
Whoever's in the little Moose crew.
Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards.
Yeah,
Exactly.
those guys.
Those guys. If anything, if it was a TNA team, it was going to be ABC. It was going to be Bullet Club ABC.
Yeah, I got
Hey, did you like that I actually knew some people besides Nick?
I'm
actually
shocked.
surprised. I'm shocked that you.
For the record,
that.
y'all, Emil does not watch NXT. Really, he'll follow, but he does not watch regularly.
I did go to the ECW show.
He did go to the ECW show.
And we had to help him through a lot. Well, the packages, and we had to explain a little bit of context.
There was really no context needed.
No, there was a little bit of who. And just Tim asking questions, but yeah,
which is fair.
See,
which by the way, I would have picked my OMG moment to be the brick in NXT, but
the brick in NXT was a good moment. Yeah,
the brick in NXT, but yeah,
but then you guys picked the actual violent route, and I was like, oh
yeah,
well, he did. Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like there are so many tag teams, but as far as those that have like stood out, it's only really Fraxium for me.
Same.
Yeah,
same.
Next.
Cool. Next one. Let's jump over to the feud or story of the year. And I think this could be a count of 3 as well.
But Cody versus Rock.
That's not it.
That doesn't
Cody and
count.
Rock.
That's
Cody
not
and
it.
Rock.
That's
Cody and
not
Rock.
it. That
Cody and Rock.
That doesn't count.
Cody and Rock. Why? Why? We already knew the feud.
3/4 of the
Roman.
year has not even been the story. It was a 3-month story.
And it was still the best one of the year. I'm not talking about
CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre would like a word.
Yeah, it does want a word, but to me, I think I still think the bigger and hotter story, and for me, the one that I was more invested in was the Cody Rock.
To be fair, this is based on individual opinion.
Rock
so.
feud.
Even if they're wrong.
Even if they're wrong.
I mean, the Punk and Drew is like they're so close, right?
I'm shocked you didn't say Punk because I know you're a Punk guy.
They're so close, right? Like.
I know you're a Punk guy. And I know you're a Drew guy now too.
The thing about the Punk story for me is it dragged a little long.
I get it.
It was a little long, right?
Yes,
because they had to, and they maybe could have pulled back on the amount of story they were doing on television, especially between the months of March and June. There was a lot of them on TV, and neither one of them could wrestle.
That's true.
Like they were there, like doing stuff weekly, sometimes twice in.
Well, okay, let me put
that's it this a lot. Way. That's a lot of story for two guys that can't. It is a lot of story for two guys
that can't wrestle. However, let me put it to you this way, right? Because my pick is Punk and Drew McIntyre because it was to me the biggest feud of the year, right? When both of them were out and not able to wrestle, but they were still cutting promos on each other, they need to do that because you want to keep everything.
No, I get keeping the heat hot.
The thing is, though, I want to compare it because. You know, if one of them is gone, not cutting promos, and it's just the other, it's like, okay, you're just cutting promos on a ghost right now. The other person's a ghost. He's not there. But because Punk would still show up injured. Now, look at this from the perspective of the Adam Cole MJF feud. If you still had one of them cutting promos on the other guy, yeah, it's just like they're talking to a ghost. If Adam Cole's like, I betrayed MJF, I was the devil, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, cool, Adam Cole, you're complaining to no one right now because Max isn't here because he went to go take time off after losing the belt and you're still hurt too. So like, what the fuck are you going to do? But if they had MJF appear, via satellite to cut a promo on Cole during that whole time, then people probably would have still given at least a little bit of a shit about that feud. And now we're getting to, I don't know if y'all have caught up with what's been going on Dynamite, but now they're finally getting to the heater of Cole and MJF for World's End, which is coming up in a few days. And I know, right? But now finally they have their face off, and MJF's like, I would have turned on you, blah, 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 baby. No one gives a shit anymore.
Nobody cares.
Dookie!
Because MJF lost and Cole turned on him and everyone's like, oh my god, we're getting the match. But then nothing happens.
It just doesn't make sense now because they're
doesn't.
literally, the roles are completely reversed.
So my point being with this as to why Drew and Punk made the most sense is because even when they weren't able to wrestle, they were still on TV just fucking going at each other, right? Even intertwining. I know for me especially, I thought it was a little annoying, the intertwining storylines, but like it all came to a head and worked out perfectly in the end.
It was a little long. We could have stretched some things.
It was
We could
definitely a
have
little
like
long.
we didn't
January
need
to
the Tom and
October,
we didn't need
but
the Tom and Jerry of it all sometimes. Like some things definitely like there are moments of that story between March and I want to say June that we could escape.
Honestly,
For sure.
I think it was especially during a time when Raw was 3 hours, I think it was a great way to keep Drew McIntyre being used while he was cutting promos at Punk.
But I guess the thing about the Rock Cody story, right? And I notice how I'm being very intentional with who I'm picking in this story.
Very much.
Because we already kind of know what Cody and Roman are about. We kind of knew that the fact that the Rock was brought in for whatever reasons he was brought in, whether it's political, whether it's the original plans got changed, or whether this was the plan all along. I like that we kind of don't know. I do enjoy that.
We don't know the theory.
We don't know the theory of why or what. But it really all kind of does like this had everybody in a chokehold, and you can't lie. Like the way that Rock had everybody in a chokehold from January through April is
the amount of times we were like Rock's returning here and he didn't.
Miles above the CM Punk chokehold. While the CM Punk chokehold and Drew chokehold is strong, really strong. The closest number 2 you'll find ever. Like it's 1.999999999 and then 2, right? Like it's minuscule difference. But to me at least, like I like they're so fucking close. But that like it's the Rock, man. It's the fucking Rock. He did all of the things, right, to tell this amazing story that culminated with the absolute right guy going over at the absolute right time in the absolute right environment. I'm biased because I'm from Philly. In with the absolute circumstances going as close to perfect as you could get without having Austin there. Like this whole story with Cody and Rock, with all of the things that they were talking about, all of the promos that they had against each other, from the you'd be ashamed of yourself to the slap to the big beatdown in the parking lot that would go off air and go on to TikTok, with Rock cussing up a storm, which moved into the Cody slapping Rock, Rock and Roman beating down Cody and Seth, and then of course the tag team match itself. All of that is as close to perfect as you could get to keep a Cody and Roman 2, which may have not been that interesting on the surface. Like I don't know, like you don't know, that's a timeline in and of itself. What was the original plan, or what would have been the original plan if it was Cody Rock 2, right, or Cody Roman 2? Because what else could they have done? They already threw the kitchen sink at us the first time. This was the only way to make this even hotter and to give Cody that extra bump that he sorely needed, in a position where it could have been even more obvious. So I can't speak highly enough about those two specifically really kind of saving Mania.
This has been another L take from the Bloodline Glazer. Just kidding. No, in all seriousness, I think I just personally prefer stories that I can see on TV play out, and the majority of this year
play out on TV.
Let me finish. The majority of this year has been Cody doing other stories until The Rock makes his return.
I spoke of nothing that had happened post April 7th or April 8th.
No, for sure. And the thing is, Punk and McIntyre started and ended on TV in 2024, and that's just personally why I prefer it. That's all.
Cody and Rock also started on TV.
It did in 2024.
Stop being unbiased.
No, I'm not.
Or stop being biased.
You're cherry picking things.
That's not cherry picking.
I'm saying I prefer stories that start and end for most of the year that tell a good story. Whereas Cody versus Rock told a lot of good story, but it was only across 4 months of a 12-month year.
The Liv and Rhea story is is the closest number 3 you can get, and that only went on for
that's not even close.
4 months.
Honestly, it's not on my radar at all.
Wow, you're big tripping.
It's been going on too long. I'm over it. I'm over it.
Wait, but it's been going on for less time than the CM Punk and Drew. feud. So
Yeah. It's relative to how long it is versus how good it is. Long doesn't mean it's always good. Short doesn't mean it's always good. If it's long and it's good, it's good. If it's long and it's bad, it's bad. If it's short and it's good, it's good. If it's short and it's bad, it's bad. Like I don't know how to explain it to you.
I mean, again, I'm saying that the story from January to April. We're not
fair.
including any. There's nothing else. We don't talk about Bad Blood because apparently we don't want to talk about Bad Blood.
Well, apparently there wasn't a point to Bad Blood. Supposedly,
I was going to say allegedly we don't want to talk about Bad Blood. We want to forget about that. So I'm choosing not to forget about it because they've told me I'm supposed to forget about it.
Right. Well, they as in wrestling Twitter, but not fair.
They being they haven't brought it up on screen, and now we're starting to have a problem.
Yep. No, I'm with you though. I respect the choice. I hope you know I respect the choice. Yeah, let's move into female wrestler of the year. Emil is very much gonna like my answer.
Liv.
That was a choice. I was debating picking
the
Liv.
choice.
It's not.
What a year.
Choice. Roxanne Perez.
Also, what a year.
Mm-hmm.
The CM Punk child.
Yusuf and I are on the same wavelength tonight.
We are. However,
I picked Cora Jade just to give CM Punk's daughters all the flowers.
I was also gonna say sorry, getting a text for dinner. No, but I was going to say Io Sky. I went into this saying Io Sky because when I think of wrestler of the year, not only do I think accolades and accomplishments, I think matches and match quality. And Io's match quality is far and above the best quality matches in the company this year.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But the accomplishments just haven't been there. She took L after L after L. So Roxanne has a good balance of banger matches, banger opponents, banger stories, and banger W's. So it's Roxanne Perez.
We remember the Lyra match? I don't.
I remember the Jordan Grace match. I remember the
Julia match.
Thank you. The Julia match. I remember the tag match.
He remembers it, not you.
I remember the well, he jogged my memory, but I remember the tag match between with Cora against Julia and Vaquer.
And Julia,
yeah. There's been a lot of there's been a decent amount. The Lola Vice match that we saw.
The Lola Vice match was fun.
The Jada Parker match was good.
I didn't need all this. I got it. I'm poking buttons.
No, for sure.
It's funny because Roxanne was tied for number one that I had for Women's Wrestler of the Year, and I love Roxanne. However, I think I'm a big match guy, but I love a good captivating story, and I love a good captivating character. And Roxanne's an incredible wrestler. She's got everything you could ever need for someone to carry your women's division going forward, and she's going to be great. I know that we all know that. But weirdly enough, I have gone the non-WWE route for my Women's Wrestler of the Year, and I'm going with Timeless Toni Storm. Because, come on, right? Like, yeah, it's kind of an obvious. Like, one of the most captivating characters in wrestling this year. Everything about her reminded me of the original Broken Matt Hardy.
Yo, she just became All Elite. Did you hear that?
Yeah, she did. She just became All Elite.
She just became All Elite. She just had her debut on Rampage.
Which I want to get to that. It's everything about the Timeless Toni Storm character just screamed the original incarnation of Broken Matt Hardy. It's so ridiculous that you have to tune into the actual thing to see it. And because neither of them were on WWE television, you were like, oh, okay, I gotta go watch TNA to see Broken Matt. Now, in this case, I gotta go see Dynamite to see this Timeless Toni Storm thing that she's doing. This Hollywood starlet character where everything's filmed in black and white. She's putting on the weirdest accent you've ever heard and thinks it's like the 1940s. Like, okay, cool. The character work, like the commitment to it from her was so perfect, Her matches were fine, but like that's the point of the character. The character isn't there to have good matches. She's there to talk. She's there to look like, this Hollywood Marilyn Monroe starlet type character. And it's funny now, she lost to Mariah May, disappeared for a while, and then jokingly said that Timeless Toni Storm is retiring from wrestling. And then all of a sudden, now recently, we have OG Rockstar Toni Storm back. But it's Timeless Toni Storm playing the role of OG Toni Storm. It's this crazy, ridiculous thing of like, you can still hear it in her voice. It's Inception. You can still hear it in her voice when she's cutting those promos when she came back. Like so excited to be here in AEW. I'm All Elite. Toni Storm's All Elite. And that's when everyone realized, oh shit, she's still Timeless Toni Storm. But it's like she's it's like she's forgotten everything. The commitment to this character has been such an incredible job on Tony's part that I could not give it to anybody else for this year. And Roxanne was a very close second.
All bangers for that one for sure. Let's jump over. The good thing is, for me at least, the last three categories here all kind of connect in some way. Male Wrestler of the Year, for me, you know who it is for me. It's my boy. It's Cody Rhodes. It's Cody Rhodes.
It's definitely Cody Rhodes.
It's Cody Rhodes.
Hell of a year. Hell of a year.
Yeah. Whether we like all of it or not, hella main events, hella opening matches. The main event of WrestleMania, he got the dub. He won the title. He finished his story. He won his second of back-to-back Royal Rumbles. No, he didn't win the night one. He didn't win.
He main evented both nights.
Oh, yeah, he main evented both nights, yeah. Back-to-back Royal Rumble winner. Yeah, it's Cody.
It's Cody.
It
has to be Cody. Yeah.
I love that that's unanimous. I love it.
Because I think our next ones are going to be the same as well.
I think so. Do we want to just kind of...
Yusuf might throw us off, but I think...
I might...
So the next one is Match of the Year, and I think me and Tyler are going to say the match that we saw, and it's definitely Cody and Roman.
It's Cody and Roman, brother. It's Cody and Roman, brother.
I think it has
easy.
The emotion, the vibe, the
Never
energy, being there live. It was
the wrestling equivalent of Endgame.
You guys had the opportunity to be there.
It was literally it. It was, and I had the extra added. It was in my hometown. Like I can't. Like you can't write anything.
Just talking about it.
You can't write this shit.
Just talking about it, bro.
This is it. This is one of the this is what, like, we laugh at Rock for being corny with his Goosebumps.
Yeah, but
like with things like with this is like the true, like, this is what you want in wrestling.
Easy.
So
and then Yusuf's gonna ruin it all by saying the fucking blood and guts match from July.
I'm not saying the blood and guts match.
with the chair
Put
shot.
The fire in the chair shot.
I forgot there was an exploding chair in that match. What about when they hung Darby Allin?
That was the Anarchy match, wasn't it? Was that one where they lit him on fire? That lives in my head
rent free. I really want to pick that.
They lit Jack Perry on fire. That was it. That's always fun. The obvious answer at the end of the day is Cody and Roman. It just is, right? Yep. And you guys obviously have a little more bias to it because you were there. Watching it from a screen, watching the whole spectacle go down in Toronto when I was at a watch party for it was definitely a time. And I think it staples itself as match of the year because in the world of professional wrestling, it is part sport and part entertainment, and it was all of that in 40-something minutes of just utter chaos.
50% sports, 50% entertainment, 100% both.
Yeah. And it was done perfectly, right? And that's arguably my match of the year. That's my number one. My very close second. My very, very close second, but not like by that margin. Mainly towards the match side of thing, because again, I mentioned earlier, I love me a good wrestling match. The pantomime and the entertainment of it obviously is there. Otherwise, why would we not love pro wrestling? But there's a very good case to make for Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay earlier this year at Wrestle Dynasty. Or at AEW Dynasty. That's what it's called. Yeah.
That's very fair.
Because
I was thinking Bloodline War Games too for me. That was my second choice.
I thought about it. I really, because there's
my 1B was going to be the hour long match with MJF and
that's a great match.
Fucking mark.
Yeah,
you fucking mark.
That would have been my number two.
Really good match.
Just on concept alone.
Yeah, because the thing is,
I did not watch it in full. I'll say that right the fuck now. I did not watch it in full.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, right? It's whenever a match of the year comes around, I think to myself before I decide what my match of the year is going to be is, what match would I show to a friend that has no fucking idea about professional wrestling? I say, hey, you want to get into wrestling? Sit down, watch this, see what happens, right? I have to think about, okay, what match from what year would I pick? In 2024, there's been a lot of great matches. If you want to show them the true beauty of professional wrestling as sports entertainment, I think Cody and Roman 2 is the way to go. It is everything you could ever want, including the insane Avengers ending of everyone showing up. It's everything you could ever want in a professional wrestling match. But say you have a friend that says, well, I like, more combat related things, or, yada, 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 or something like that.
I want to watch UFC.
That too.
Shut your dumb ass up.
Yeah. It's like, oh, well, I like action. Okay, well, if you like action, Ospreay Danielson is the way to go. Because it's just two of the greatest wrestlers in the world going at it for 35 minutes or whatever it is. At the end of it, you go, okay, that was incredible. It harkens back to times where, like, with the conversation of, if you had to show one friend a match to get them into wrestling, what match would you choose? And a lot of people probably will say Cody Roman. I think going forward, I might also say Cody Roman 2. Hell, I might say Cody Roman 1. People forget how good Mania 39 was of a match, like despite the ending, but all that.
No,
but
because
there
of the
are
ending.
because of the ending. But there are days where I will tell someone, hey, if you want to get into the idea of professional wrestling as a sport, not so much the entertainment side, but really like understand how emotion and everything in a story is told. I always tell them go watch Styles Nakamura at Wrestle Kingdom, right? Like that's my favorite match of all time, like in history, or any early Kurt Angle matches, things like that. So there's an argument to be made for sure for Ospreay Danielson, but I think at the end of the year for what Cody Roman 2 did for professional wrestling as a whole, it needs to be considered match of the year. It needs to be known that it is match of the year because the ripple effect of that match has changed the entire landscape of this industry.
I think it's really incredible that this year there are 4 matches to me, right? And 2 of them are WWE and 2 of them are AEW, right? And I think until this year there were like you said, there were matches. It's like if you're going to show the combat or like the actual like pro wrestling of it, before this year, I would have said Sami Zayn and Nakamura Takeover Dallas. That's what I would have said. I would have gave that, and I probably would have gave CM Punk and Cena for the sports entertainment of it all, like the whole of the spectacle of it all, right? Those are the 2 that I would have said before this year. This year, obviously, Cena Punk has been replaced with Roman Cody. For obvious reasons. And but then I want to, there's also like this third category that I kind of want to mention because I over the year, right, I've kind of been able to trick my friends into watching wrestling, and you can trick them with the bloodline pretty easily. That again, more glazing, but you can usually use the bloodline as a good way to get people into it really quickly, because it's simple. Right. At the end of the day. And so for the sports entertainment of it all, you can use that. And then the wrestling, I agree with Yusuf. I would probably use something like MJF and Ospreay in the Hour. I would use the Ospreay and Danielson match. But the third option is to if you want to talk about the violence of pro wrestling, and you use a couple of really good matches that happened this year too. You can you no longer have to go harp to ECW. Or some old GCW clips or some just things
like
that are kind of
or any of those
nasty.
Like indies, yeah.
You can go to these nationally and internationally public companies, and well, AEW is not public, I don't think, but you get what I'm saying. Like they're these big companies, and you can use the Hell in a Cell with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. You can use that for violence. It's a little bit cleaner of violence. It's a little bit more produced. And then on the other side, you can use violence. You can use any of the 3 matches in AEW that kind of lived in my head rent free this year, which was the Anarchy in the Arena. Sorry, 2 of them, or the Blood and Guts match. Or no, there was 3, or the Swerve,
or the Swerve Hangman match.
Hangman match. You could use any one of those 3, and I've used all 3 of them to kind of explain the difference between AEW and WWE. While highlighting the positives and hiding the negatives that is AEW's creative. I had to get that pot shot in. Superstar of the year, male.
We said that. Cody, right?
Cody.
Oh, we did that already.
We didn't do show of the year, but for me, it's Mania Night 2.
Mania 40 Night 2.
Mania 40 Night 2.
Second, very close second, I was going to say SummerSlam to kind of spread the wealth a little bit. I thought it was a perfectly booked show from end to end.
I mean, honestly, there's an argument to be made for just all of Mania as a whole this year.
Yeah, I like to judge it night by night, just because it's like separate cards.
Yeah, separate cards, but
yes,
as a whole, like
as a whole package.
This was a
France gets an honorable mention for the crowd.
Yes,
France does get a
Crowd of the year was Backlash France. Easy.
Yeah,
easy.
My bias would say Money in the Bank because we were there on the floor, but
the show
looking
was back
fine.
on it, the wrestling community as a whole thinks that's one of the worst pay-per-views WWE.
Yeah, it was
not to say it was bad, but just compared to the fire they put out this year, it wasn't as good.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the one I would go to least.
Yeah,
I agree.
Same.
I agree.
Yeah.
But being there,
it's also like one of only 4 arena pay-per-views.
Yeah,
all the rest have been in either stadiums or yeah, stadiums.
Yeah,
baseball field, something like that. Yeah.
And usually, unfortunately, this I don't want to have to harken back to something we were talking about earlier, but talking about LA Knight and how his year has been, it's been like, man, right? I'm gonna be honest with you, I forgot he was in that Money in the Bank match. We saw him come out and everything, and I completely fucking forgot he was in there.
Nah, literally. Literally.
Like, it's just, yeah. And I forget, like, who's even in that match? I don't remember. Like, Jey Uso was there, Drew McIntyre, Knight, someone else, other people. Carmelo was he?
Right,
I don't know.
yep.
Andrade?
Yep.
Anyway.
Emil, I know you got a jet.
This has been fun. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Hey, do you got a best in wrestling for this year?
For the year?
Overall? Something you want to shout out? Anything?
No.
Okay.
I want to hear your outro though. We don't need to do all this. It's a vacancies award. We don't need to do all this best in wrestling bullshit. We just said the best in wrestling for the last 3 hours.
Well, I was just gonna talk about the shows we got to go to this year together, all of us.
Hurry up.
Because it was cool. But I guess not. But y'all.
No, hurry up with that.
Great. Well, I got to go to a lot of shows this year personally. I got to go to shows with Emil, with Yusuf, by myself. Emil got to go to some shows by himself too. We all had a good time. Wrestling's back, baby. That's 2024. It's your boys here from Vacant Wrestling Podcast.
Chiefing though, we're not doing. We're gonna calm down.
2025, we got to calm down with these.
We're calming down.
We are calming down.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Please.
I can't go to everything because.
But y'all, thank you so much.
Tyler money.
True. I owe Yusuf money. Thank y'all so much for giving us a great year. And he's clear.
And you're dead.
I'm dead.
Right.
We'll see y'all in 25. See y'all later. See you on Netflix, baby.
Netflix.